Hey everybody, so I'm over here in the personal side of our garage and I'm recording in this particular spot for the reason of these boxes behind me. And this is the reason for this video today, is a listing challenge that I'm going to try to conduct for the next few weeks. Now this inventory here represents my unlisted sewing patterns. And I just want to start off by saying it's not as bad as it looks. It looks pretty bad. It comes just to this shelf. We've got patterns in here, these boxes, and it goes up into there. So because of this, I knew I have to do something drastic to try to get this organized and turned into some cash, right? Because this is money sitting here and I need to catch up on it. So let me just give you a little bit of the backstory. Some of these, the reason there's so many like just different boxes of it is back in the day, before I had the YouTube channel, I had a blog, and the blog was Recycleista, and on it I talked about selling sewing patterns. And so because of that, I had several people reach out to me who were either interested in selling patterns or they just had a large collection from family members that they were like, hey, are you interested in buying this whole big collection? So I went ahead, I did that a few times. So this was kind of like height of the pandemic, where I was really focused on, people were home, they were crafting, people were really, they were buying patterns, and I was focused on that niche pretty hardcore. We sold and listed and sold quite a few sewing patterns during that time. So I had bought these large collections. Now, some of them, when I got them, I did sort through them. So the reason I say it's not as bad as it looks is that some of the boxes in here are cut patterns, or they're patterns that I'm not going to be dealing with. I'm not going to be listing individually. They are just, I didn't get rid of them yet right away. And then we moved. So what happened is that there's some that I might, because they're cut and they're maybe kind of messy looking or whatever, it's possible depending on the age and kind of what kind of patterns they are, I might just lot them up and even try to sell them as a lot of cut patterns for a low price. Then there are some cut patterns in here that would be worth listing individually. It's going to take some time to confirm that they're complete and everything like that. But a lot of what I have is uncut patterns, and even some of those might not be worth listing individually, but they might be worth listing. Say you put some craft lots together or some kids' clothes patterns together or things like that. But it just takes time to go through and get it all organized. But in the meantime, I also need to grab the uncut ones that are worth listing and get those listed, which is part of the challenge today. So fortunately, I do have a plan and I do have a secret weapon, but more about that later. I'm trying to think if there is anything else I wanted to say about my crazy stash. You can leave a comment down below about if you think I'm insane. But yeah, that's all I was saying, was that when we moved, the patterns all ended up in one place, which is great. But then it's out of sight, out of mind. And I kind of tend to, the different niches that I work with, I kind of get into them and then I get out of them and get into them, get out of them. Sewing patterns are always kind of background, where I do list a few. But I find what's happening is I'm finding like a handful at the thrift store and I list those. So I never get out here to dig into the stash to get going on it. So let's go talk about what my secret weapon is, okay? Okay, everybody, so I wanted to introduce you to my secret weapon.
Hello.
This is Sam, and he is Mr. Pish Posh's mini-me. So anyway, he has very lovingly agreed to help his mama out. I mean, I'm hiring him, but he's going to help me get caught up on some of the backlog of these sewing patterns. And even if it's just the fact that he can get some photos taken and get some drafts started for me, and I think that's going to help me get on top of things with that. Also, it's going to force me to organize. It's going to force me to get some of the things ready so that you have actual patterns to work on.
Yeah.
Right. And so what we've done is he has downloaded, is that what you say? Downloaded that app, installed. See, he knows. He's installed the Etsy seller app because I list my patterns on Etsy for the well, at this point, they all go on Etsy. So he's put the Etsy seller app on his, and we've signed in to my account. And so what we're gonna do now is just kind of go through how to make that draft. He doesn't know how to do it yet, and so no, you're gonna take pictures first. So you don't need that. Okay, so we're gonna start by taking pictures if you wanna get your camera app up. The interesting thing about, or the wonderful thing about patterns is that it doesn't require a big setup for taking pictures. So I've taken them on a table like this. I've taken the pictures on a couch just next to me while I was sitting there.
Yeah.
You can use my photo studio. Just as long as lighting is good and everything, then it's super easy to just kind of do it anywhere. I've done it on the floor in the past. Anyway, so first picture, whole pattern. Can you do it on square?
Yeah.
Okay. Whole pattern as much that, fills the frame as possible. Also, iPhones, if you're going flat like that, just make sure it went upright. It'll try to rotate it. You know what I mean? Okay. Then the next picture, come down lower and show just kind of the whole outfit, but as close as possible.
Okay.
Okay. Then you can take a picture up here. And some of these pictures are not as necessary for the listing. They're for me when I'm finishing the listing. So I don't have to look at the pattern again.
Right.
So again, whole thing of the back. And then it's narrow, focus in on the diagram of the piece of clothing, right? Then this is the description of the pattern, and then this little box. If you can just kind of fill the square with that. You can go even closer just on this side because that side's in French. Yep. And then however you want to do this, this is the size chart. And then this one has the date right down here. So the date is in different places depending on, so a Vogue pattern, the date is down here at the bottom. If you could, for me, just take a picture of the date up close, because then I don't need my readers when I'm listing to try to figure out what the date of the pattern is. Thank you. Okay, so we've gotten our pictures of the photos, so we're going to go over to the Etsy seller app, and if you could screen record so everybody can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
That would be great. Okay, so when you start, you're on the home page. Okay,
Right,
when the app opens, you're on the home page. So then hit right here, the listings. Okay, and then you're just going to hit the plus sign up there. You're going to start from scratch. And so this is going to start off with what kind of item is it? And it's already set up as patterns and blueprints because that's the last pattern, the last thing you listed on there. So you can just hit that.
So what would people do if they didn't?
You can choose a different category, see down here at the bottom. And so if you were listing, say I was going to list fabric next, see if that's another thing I've listed in the store. Okay. So that's a choice right there. But if I listed a sewing tool, then I would have to pick a different category. Okay. But, so just hit that, hit next. Let's add your photos. So go through and then add them in the order you took them. Because that's kind of, it's not so important, but I do want that first photo you took of the whole thing to be my first one.
Right.
And you've added those, so then hit next. So if you could, for me, hit title.
Yeah.
And then type in Vogue and then V8827. And then if you could type in size, capital S. And then here's the size. There's 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. Yep.
Okay.
You don't need, unlike your brother who insists on putting the hyphens. You don't need the hyphens. And then 14. And then I'll worry about, I might add the actual title. I might add something to your thing, but for now we're just going to start with this. So you're done.
Okay.
So if you could see, as you can see, price is required. So hit the price and then put $15. I'm going to research the price later, but do 15 on every single pattern for your placeholder. Okay. So hit done. And then that was it on that page. So hit next. So as you can see, it's been saved as a draft at this point. So you could hit the X up in the corner and be done, but I'm going to ask you to do like one more thing for me. And that's scroll all the way down and go to that shop section.
Okay.
Now you saw one of the photos was 2012.
Yeah.
So I have a shop section.
2000 the newer.
Yep.
And then save that.
Save that. So it's just one more step that I don't have to worry about when I do it.
Yep.
And now you can X it out. Okay, so as you can see, it says your listing was saved as a draft. So hit got it. And there it is as, because you're in drafts.
Yeah.
Right? And so there it is right at the top. So then what I'm going to do is go to my laptop, which I'll show you in a second, and I'm going to finish off that listing. And then I just need you to do that over and over and over again this month, okay?
Okay.
So let's go over to my computer right now and we'll figure out, we'll just finish up a listing just if you want to see that real quick. And then Mini Pish Posh and I will be back in a second to talk about the goals for the month. Okay, so let me just show you real quick how I finish up a listing once Mini Pish Posh will do these drafts. So if I go over to my draft listings, we can see he's been busy while I've been doing some other stuff. So here's the Vogue pattern that I started with, and he's in the last, we had a few glitches with his Etsy app, but then all he did was turn his phone off and on and the glitches have fixed. So it slowed him down a little bit, but in a few minutes he was really able to get these 10 listings set up for me. So I'm going to open the one that he did, that first one that we showed you. So now I just like to do, there's certain things that you can only do on the desktop. You can't do in the Etsy seller app, which is why I end up finishing my listings on the computer. So what I would end up doing, not sure what, oh, I see what he's doing. Okay. Okay, so I've got the Vogue, and I'm just going to stay basic on this one so you don't need to see every little tiny detail. But if I did Mrs. Dress, I like to start with the pattern, what the number is. I like to have the size right up front that people can see as they're doing a search, and the first few words that they see in the listing. And I might do a few little descriptive words about the dress as well. And I like to say it's uncut, and then I throw the word sewing pattern in there. I don't know if it's absolutely necessary because of the category I'm in. But then I might throw in like an aesthetic or something like that. You get 140 characters on Etsy. So here's the photos that he's done. So I'm going to adjust the thumbnail. This is one of the things you can only do on the desktop. You can't do on the in the app yet. And so what I do is I adjust the thumbnail to crop it down, because it's just the way I like the store to look, is to have a cropped pictures of all the different patterns that I've got. And so when you're looking at my storefront, that's what you see. You don't see like the table or whatever it is that you took the photos on. So I hit done with that. My internet is kind of slow today. So hopefully, okay, so if we go down, let me make sure that worked. I'm going to hit apply. And so here's the preview of the thumbnail, okay? So I do that. Then what I end up doing is I just take a copy and paste of the title. So you can easily do not as many photos of your sewing pattern. I've mentioned this before. You don't have to get so detailed in your photos, but what I find is that I can speed up the process a little bit, because I used to put so much detail from the back of the envelope. I used to put that in my listing. And it took time either copying and pasting it from someplace else, or from just typing in a synopsis of what the item is that they're making, all this stuff. I had like a huge description. So I've been experimenting with keeping my description short and sweet and letting the pictures do the talking. So I'll just say from, what did he say? See, this is why this comes in handy. I hit the picture. Oh, it doesn't work that way. Anyway, oh yeah, here we go. 2012. Okay, so now I know what it is. If I had the pattern right next to me, I might be able to see it, but I can't always see without my glasses, and I don't, that tiny print, and I was sitting there with a loop and looking up the years of the pattern. So I like to put the year in it, and then I just say see photos for pattern details. And that's it for my description. Now, obviously, if there was something going on with the envelope, if there was writing on it, or if there was something like that, then I would go into a little bit more detail about the condition of the envelope. And especially an older pattern, an older collectible pattern, I would go into a little bit more detail on condition. For now, I'm just going to, actually, let me show you the research part. I'll go ahead and open up another tab here, and we will go, so here I am on the regular Etsy page. This is my shop page. I can show you what I was talking about, how I generally have the thumbnails are zoomed in. Let's see. I'm going to search that. It's Vogue V8827. And then a lot of times, so we see it right away. Somebody's got it for $8.99. I'm going to go high to low because the relevant results in search are not always that great. So high to low narrows it down to the two ones that actually match my search term. So one person has it for $17.50, one person has it for $9. So I think I'm just going to leave it at the 15. It's a really pretty dress and it's a Vogue pattern, so I'm okay with that. So I go down, he's already got the category. The craft type, this is something that you actually really do have to do in order to launch some of the other little things are optional, but this craft type, some of the attributes are optional, but the craft type is mandatory in order. Oh man, where did it go? It was in order. Nope, they put it down here. Sewing. So I can type in, I usually type in SEW and it shows me sewing. Okay. So as I was saying, the craft type is mandatory. You have to put that in. So that's something that I might add to my son's little to-do list when he sets up a draft. That might be nice. Now tags I'll take care of because I know the fashion, you know, I know what I'm looking at and what, you know, that it's a dress, that it's what kind of style it is, what kind of different features maybe the dress has. But one thing I always do for sure is the 8827. Okay. In my tags, I always do that. And I do it without the letter, just in case people are searching but not putting that V in front of there. And then I might just do Vogue dress, you know, and I might go through, I might do all the aesthetics that I thought of, like corp core or floor length, or, you know, just different features to that dress. Don't do materials necessarily. I have my shipping already set up for a, wow, the words are not coming today. I am like not in good shape today. Okay. So I have a template already set up for sewing patterns. So it stays there. My return policy is already set. So we saw that Sam put in my shop section. So that's all done. My renewal options are automatic. So I did change the title. I changed the photos, just the thumbnail, my description, the tags, and one attribute. And so then I'm all set. I'm just going to go ahead and publish it with changes. I might go back and add some more tags later because I usually do more tags than that, but I do have to, I don't want you to sit here while I'm thinking. Okay, so it looks like he's done with his drafts for today. So later tonight, so here's the one that was moved from drafts into active, as you can see. And then later tonight, when I'm just kind of chilling after I've gotten some other work done, I can just watch TV and, you know, do the rest of these as drafts. And so that's the plan, to do those on a regular basis. Okay, so what I was thinking is that I wanted to do this challenge for the month of October. This is like the first full week. Today's Monday. You guys might not be seeing this till Tuesday. I'm not sure when this is coming out, but this is the first full week of October. So I was thinking if we did it then for 4 weeks, this challenge,
yeah,
you know, you're helping me might go past that. But if we could shoot for at least 50 patterns a week, and it might not seem like a lot because of, if you're looking at the number of patterns I have and the fact that I want to get a lot of patterns listed, but keep in mind that I also do a lot of other things. I also have flatware to list, and I have clothing to list, and I've got, you know, Mr. Pish Posh is listing a bunch of stuff as well, but I have my Ruby Lane shop to work on. So this is just, I decided to try to kind of push myself a little bit, but be reasonable as well. So if we could do like 5 days a week, 10 patterns a day, that would give us 50 per week. At the end of the challenge, I would have 200 patterns, more patterns in my store. Yeah. And that would double what's already there. Okay, so that's like a good, I think that's, I mean, I would love to get up to 1,000 patterns, but you know, we'll get there eventually. If all I was listing was patterns, I would lose my mind. I'm sorry, I just can't sit down and churn out the same thing like over and over and over again. It's just not me. But if I could do 10 a night, because that's what I'm thinking, and you don't have to do 10 a day, you could do 20 one day. Just make sure by the end of the week, and like that I can keep up with you, right? So if you're going to do more than 10, do it at the beginning of the week so that I have patterns to work with. Okay. Because that also, just like any other selling site, it's happy when you're consistent and adding new product to it. So that's going to up our sales as well, is the fact that 10 more patterns are being added like almost every day, right? Okay, so I'm going to pay you per pattern. Yeah. And we're going to double our inventory. That's our goal. Our immediate goals are for you because you're going to go work with Dad for a bit anyway this afternoon. But if you can get those done, and then my goal for today, especially besides listing these ones that you're going to do, is I am going to get a bin together and get the patterns for the week for sure into a spot where you can just go to them at any time and grab them.
Okay.
And then I'll have another spot where you can put the finished ones. Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll check in maybe in 2 weeks. We'll check in and see if we're on track with our targets and see if sales have picked up or, you know, anything like that on patterns as well. So you guys, if you want to join in this challenge for the months of October, it's always nice to have people to join my misery.
Misery loves company.
Misery loves company. Very good. And so if there's something in particular that you want, like a certain category that you want to work on getting listed this month, or if there's just your listings in general, like your backlog or your profit pile that you want to just tackle, and feel free to leave a comment down below of what your listing goal will be for the rest of October. Our challenge will probably go into November a little bit, just because that fourth week is half October, half November, I think is how it works. So, okay, thanks for tagging along and keeping me accountable with these goals that I set, and let me know again what your goals are for the month as well. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.